We'll move on to the next game. This game is really, really tough to talk about for me and Pat. Uh, Tough week, tough weekend. I mean, man, I'm surprised that we still got everyone in the building from Sunday. But we got the Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. Right now, PFF is favoring Chicago by a little over 2 points. Um, we looked god awful on offense last weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Shane Waldron is really, I don't know why he has a job right now, but Pat, if you want to explain more your thoughts on that game, thoughts on the play calling, thoughts on Caleb Williams throwing the ball 52 times, thoughts on him being the second leading pass attempt leader in the NFL through 3 weeks. Do you want to talk
And
about
also,
any of that?
and if you want to touch on just how poorly DeAndre Swift has been playing in the run game too,
You can talk
that
about
has
that
been,
too.
yeah. Go ahead, Pat.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think you guys have set it up for me, and just that Shane Waldron apparently does not think that the running game is important for the Bears to establish. I mean, how else can you explain facing the worst rushing defense in the NFL in the Colts? Statistically, the worst rushing defense through the first 2 weeks of the season.
With
And
no Depot.
With no DeForest Buckner, and you throw the ball 53 times with your rookie quarterback. There's certainly some questions, the individual play calling of this game. If somebody didn't sit, it's so unfortunate. I should say it like this. It's so unfortunate seeing people end zone dance on Caleb right now, and seeing, just the flack that he's getting for the rough game that he had. I would argue that he had maybe one really rough play, which would have been that interception.
The flat route.
Flat route. He has a couple of hitches in his throws it late. That's a throw you can't make. That's a pretty bad mistake. But the fumble lost, not his fault. The strip sack, that's a scheme issue. The interception hit Rome right in the hands. It was an aggressive throw. I have serious issues with the way that Eberflus was talking about that throw. Eberflus said, "Oh, it's an aggressive throw. Oh, we need to rein him in. Oh, it's a quarterback's job. I want him in the 200 club. 2 touchdowns, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. That's what you should be going for." This just sounds like a defensive coach who's trying to take the aggressiveness out of his young quarterback. And it's certainly not helping that he has no running game to speak of. Where were the runs under center? Where was the play action? I think the one time that they did go play action off under center, it was the best play of the game. It was Rome going deep, Caleb hitting him in stride. It was a beautiful throw, but he had time on that throw. With Shane Waldron, it's really the reason he's still there, Christian, to answer your question, is because I think he's making a ton of money to be essentially the offensive head coach of this team. But yeah, there's no reason for it. I agree with you that, the past 2 weeks have been a fireable offense. That 4th and 1 play call of speed option was ridiculous, but the play call before it, go back to the play call 3rd and goal. I mean, we could talk about this forever, just going through each of these plays with Shane Waldron, but please, anyone who's watching this, go and watch the 3rd and goal play call. It was a run to Herbert, I believe, up the middle. DeAndre Carter, the return specialist. Keep in mind, this is 3rd and goal at the 1. The Bears return specialist, not Colin Johnson, not Mercedes Lewis, not a blocking player, maybe the worst blocker on your team. And DeAndre Carter can do a lot of things, but he can't block. He's 5'0", 100 whatever pounds. And he got absolutely demolished on that play. Trucked into the backfield, used as a battering ram to stop Khalil Herbert. There are so many issues with this offense right now, and specifically the run game, that you can't hold Caleb to account for any of it. He had the one bad play, but he is getting absolutely hung out to dry by his play caller, by his offensive line, and really by his head coach, based on the fact that they have not been able to establish the run. And Mike, yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift looks like maybe the biggest bust of free agency thus far. This offensive line has been rough, but DeAndre Swift has looked terrible. I mean, he hasn't had any vision. The burst isn't there. Yeah, I mean, he'll have an open lane and he won't cut into it. And the offensive lines are tripping over their own shoelaces. So that doesn't help the situation. But man, it's a clear downgrade to go from the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line to this Bears offensive line. And DeAndre Swift has made that look evident. So yeah,
so is Roschon Johnson. I mean, he had his first touches last week, 30 yards, 8 touches. I think just the inability of them to even, like you said, Pat, create a run game is, and Caleb Williams has still looked good, throwing the ball when he has been, completing it and, able to, get the offense moving a little bit. He's got the connection going. It does hurt that you guys have had Keenan Allen out. He's growing the connection with, Cole Kmet and DJ Moore, but yeah, the run game is doing you guys no favors. I mean, as per usual, I mean, run defense, and pass defense have been the cornerstone of what this team has leaned on so far to try and at least stay in games when they're not able to move the ball down the field, except for Caleb Williams having to air it out, which he has done. But I mean, what do you think going into this game, Pat? I mean, do you think this is one where we might see a bounce back, or I mean, this is a Rams team that Matt Stafford's looking okay. They're starting to get some guys back healthy. I mean, I'm not sure I'm leaning Bears on this one, but
I mean, obviously, just based on the line, based on the fact that the Bears are favored in this game, Vegas thinks that Caleb Williams is due for an arrival, because otherwise you would not be picking the Bears to beat Stafford and McVay. I don't care if they're depleted of weapons. This Rams team just led a comeback against the NFC champions. And the 49ers have their own questions right now, but that is a legit win. And it just goes to show that you can never count a pairing like Stafford and McVay out. And, this game is at home. That should favor the Bears. But Matt Stafford has played more games in Soldier Field than, a lot of the players on the Bears even right now, just based on the time he played it, in Detroit. So it's not like it's an unfamiliar place for him. That's a veteran quarterback that's going to give you a chance in any game. They've got a young defense that, there's some questions on the Rams defense, but that Rams defense kept them in the game and was able to lead the charge to get them back in it against the 49ers. So, obviously, like I said, Vegas thinks that the Bears are going to get it together, that Waldron's going to figure it out, but they're going to have to do it quick. And I don't see there's no Olin Kreutz walking through that door for the Bears. Like, they're stuck with their offensive lineman as it stands. Ryan Bates isn't going to make a difference when he gets back, and he won't be back for this game. But yeah, I need to see it to believe it with this Bears offense before I pick them against McVay and Stafford. That's for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Pat. I'm going into this weekend with the expectation that we're going to get out coached, and that's all it really comes down to this weekend. Yeah, very disappointed in Eberflus. I think some egregious errors by Eberflus in 2 weeks in a row now. Using that timeout on the 2-point conversion was egregious. Stephon Diggs' challenge was egregious. And look, we have a pretty easy schedule for the next 4 weeks. Carolina and Jacksonville and the Rams, injured Rams team, on top of another team. I'm not thinking, I don't know who it is right now.
Jaguars.
Jaguar. Who's the fourth
In
team?
London.
So Jags. We got the Jags in London. I want to say it's Arizona or New England. But with that being said,
the Commanders, isn't it?
They're also, so those are all coming up, Carolina included. So all those games are winnable games looking forward. Eberflus, in my opinion, he's on the hot seat right now. I think in the next 4 weeks, if we're not 2-2, 3-1, 4-0, I think there's going to be serious concerns that Eberflus is going to lose his job. And I think it starts this weekend, how he fares against the Rams. Again, I think he's going to get out coached. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won this game.
the one silver
right. And
one a
no,
silver lining for
go
you
ahead, Mike.
guys, a silver lining for you guys just being that the Rams are 28th against the run. I mean, it could be the spot where, you could finally take a little bit of the pressure off Caleb Williams. He's not having to throw the ball 40, 50 times during the game. And maybe, just maybe, like you said, Pat, you'll be able to lean on the run game to take a little bit of pressure off a guy that you've thrown into this situation and said, make it happen. So, I think that is one bright spot going into it for you guys, for something to possibly lean on to take a little bit of the pressure off of Caleb Williams. But at the end of the day, like you said, it is Eberflus versus Sean McVay, and as good as the Bears defense has been, we've seen Matt Stafford being able to get it done with Puka Nakua out, easing Cup back into it. Kyron Williams coming into his own. We'll see. I like the over in this game. If there is one way to lean for it, but that the Rams firepower with Kyron Williams kind of coming into his own could offset it if the Bears are not able to move the football as well in this game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.